In previous updates we made a large piece of support steelwork and the first tower section. We made a slewing ring unit, and to go on top of that was the slewing ring A-frame. We've also had a first attempt at a support platform, including the cab. And we've also made the heavily fabricated counter jib. In this update we've built an alternative temporary support base, and that's coloured in blue. And the purpose of that is to hold the counter jib in place so it doesn't keep moving when we work on it. Since the last update there's also been a number of detailed changes, including the main support point and also identifying locations for fixing walkways. Now the real crane has a swinging counterweight, and that's suspended from the counter jib. And here you can see another view of it, and it's loaded with steel blocks. The location for hanging the counterweight has been provided for on the counter jib. So we've had a go at building the counterweight basket. And in common with the rest of the model, this scales to be quite a large piece. From the technical document it looks like the real crane can carry 65 tons worth in the counterweight basket, so that explains its heavy construction. The beams at the end are large because that's where it's hung from the counter jib. Terex calls the attachment a leverage, and will attempt that in a future update. Let's put the empty basket on the weighbridge, and it's 2 pounds 8 ounces, which is a bit over 1 kilogram. Here's a photo showing the real counterweight slabs. So we've had a go at modelling one of those. This is a little bit tricky to make out of Meccano, but overall as a first attempt it's a reasonable representation. And just to show how it works, the counterweight slab fits and rests in the bottom of the basket, and then you stack more on top. Let's move on to another part of the model, and it's the huge counter jib A-frame. And here's a first attempt at building it up. At this point the model is getting extremely large, so let's just do a quick dim check. And so far it's about 5'6" or 1.7 meters tall. And of course, actually it's not even standing on a tower section yet. So the way things are going, I may have to think about punching a hole in the ceiling. On the real crane the counter jib A-frame is transported as a flat pack, and it's pinned in position like this. This is the front end of the crane, and you can see where the jib attachment points will be. This part of the frame is a heavy H-section construction, probably because it's mostly in compression, and we've already added in some guide rope pulleys. The bracing pattern is copied from the real crane, and it's made up of compound sections of multiple narrow strips. On the real crane most of this bracing is made of tubes, but of course tube sections don't exist within the Meccano system, so that's why multiple strips have been used. At this point on the real crane the connection is hinged, and we've not tried to model that yet. Also we've not yet modelled the top of the A-frame, and looking at the real crane that's a particularly complex part made up of various different shapes. Moving to the back of the A-frame, and it also pins into position, and that's also replicated on the inside. There's a long tie bar, and again for transport it packs flat, and we can do that by unpinning the end of the tie bar. This side of the A-frame is mainly in tension, so it's of a thinner construction, and because it's normally in tension there's no need for any cross bracing, so it's a simpler piece of construction compared to the heavy front side. Okay then, just for a laugh we'll put the whole thing onto the weighbridge. It's a heavy lift for the giant hand cranes because it comes in at over 33 pounds, which for the metrically inclined is more than 15 kilograms. The jib of the real crane can be up to 65 metres long, but to begin with we're modelling the shorter heavy lift arrangement that's shown on the front of the technical documentation. And as a start on the jib, this is the simpler middle jib section. As you can see, it's fully triangulated, and the long members of the jib are made up of properly formed box sections. And these are formed of twin angle girders. Again, the real jib uses tubes for the bracing, and multiple narrow strips are used here. There's a guide wheel for the main jib rope, and that's also included. And a smaller detail is the walkway plate that runs along the jib, and also the safety bar which jib walkers can clip onto. The construction at the end is very heavy because this is where it joins on to other jib sections. And we've also modelled a small erection pulley. So this is only the intermediate jib section, but it's quite big, so let's do a dim check. And end to end we find that this piece is about 35 inches or nearly 90 centimetres. And again, this is another heavy part. It's nearly £5 worth, or 2¼ kilograms. And with that weighty information, that completes update 5 of this Meccano model.